Hello and welcome to Equipped, the EmotionIntell podcast. It's been a long time coming. We've been asked to do this for some time by many people.
Millions, absolutely millions, yeah.
Absolutely millions of people, apparently. So millions of people have asked us to do this podcast. And the aim of this podcast is that we want to dive into a world that we're really passionate about. Obviously, Emotional Intelligence Academy, it's our bag. It's what we do.
It's in the name, yeah.
So it's in the name. So we want to dive into this on a weekly basis and bring some emotion, intelligence, joy to your viewing and hopefully get some inputs from you too. So Harry, what do you want out of this?
For me, the main purpose about this is I think emotional intelligence in many aspects gets like a bad rap. Like a lot of people talk about emotional intelligence as being like this fluffy bunny, nice thing to have. And really, if you're dealing with people, you are dealing with emotional intelligence. It's about the ability to understand how someone's feeling and then manage how they're feeling and then do the same for yourself. And if you have those skills, you can literally do anything, absolutely anything, if it involves dealing with another person. So I think it gives us an opportunity to talk about it within different contexts, invite people on, invite questions.
Yeah.
We'll learn a lot along the way, and hopefully we can teach you a couple of things along the way too.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big geek, so I'm hoping to learn as much as we can from this. And I think there'll be a lot of insightful moments as we have these conversations, whether it's us or other people that are coming onto the podcast as well. And it should be great because we want to cover a lot of different areas. Some of those areas might be very business or corporate related, looking at organisational emotional intelligence. We also want to discuss areas of things like parenting or education being a big passion of ours as well. You know, we've all got kids, or we've all know kids, we might be governors and those kinds of things. So there's lots of things that we're involved with. Equally, we've got students that are studying with us that are looking at emotional intelligence. So we've got all of that resource there as well. So if you're a student with EIA, then we hopefully will see you on a podcast as well.
Absolutely, and we're looking to kind of do this every single week. So new topic every single week, hopefully steered a little bit by your input. So if there's anything you want us to talk about, throw it in the comments, let us know about it. We're just going to pick a random kind of application of emotional intelligence or a particular news piece each week, talk about it, throw in our input, and basically just build the conversation from there.
Yeah. One of the things that we do have to clarify though is what on earth emotional intelligence actually
that is important, yeah.
Because I think we both come across people that say, well, what is it you do? And you talk about emotion. Oh yeah, emotional intelligence. And then when you get into the conversation, they don't really know what we mean by emotional intelligence. So as a working definition within our own organization, we talk about emotional intelligence being the ability to perceive, understand, and influence our own and others' emotions across a range of contexts that guides our thinking and actions towards our current goals. So there's a lot that we can unpack probably over many episodes in various different episodes there that unpacks those. But it's about us being aware of our emotions, managing our emotions, being aware of other people's position, not just their emotions, but thinking as well. So thinking their behaviors in generally, and how we take all that information and manage the interactions that we have, hopefully with mutually beneficial and cooperative and productive goals, but not necessarily. So it depends on the context. And we're going to be doing it over a range of contexts. So we might be being a parent, might be being an educator, you might be being a senior leader or a manager. So there's lots of different contexts.
And a psychopath. You could be a psychopath.
And a psychopath.
This is the thing about emotional intelligence is, again, like a lot of people think emotional intelligence is being a nice person. Being a nice person and having emotional intelligence are two completely separate things. You know, you can be an absolute psychopath trying to manipulate someone to get into the back of your car. You are using emotional intelligence. So developing these skills not only give you an advantage in supporting your team, your family, but also protecting yourself from other people who are using it for, evil means. So emotional intelligence itself is a skill that will serve you and protect you.
Yeah, definitely. And these are all areas that we want to look at. And so we don't want to dictate it, as Harry said, we don't want to dictate exactly what we're going to be looking at week on week on week. So if you've got any suggestions, then throw them in, because it does have a huge impact on all of our lives. So your personal life and your professional life. And we've come across lots of different areas, especially in the business world, where there's a misconception about its value, I think.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you've got a good example of that from recently.
Yeah, and I think there are some situations where I personally have been in a business and doing some work with a business, and in this particular, it wasn't emotional intelligence, but I was working with the business, and then they said about emotional intelligence, and it's interesting, but it still dropped into that kind of fluffy, soft skills. We pay lip service to it, but we don't really care because we're pragmatic and it's about the bottom line and about getting sales in.
Yeah.
And so you have that side, which is quite disappointing to hear every single time you hear. But only a couple of weeks ago, I heard a senior leader at a large company within the UK that I won't mention, although it was fantastic, so I could mention, but I'm not going to. And the senior leader got up and did a fantastic, brought tears to my eyes almost, talk to their employees about emotional intelligence. And by them embracing emotional intelligence and talking about their own well-being journey and emotional intelligence within an organization, you watch the entire room open up and start to talk more openly from a psychological safety point of view about their roles. And all it takes is for someone within those senior positions to embrace emotional intelligence, that you can really make a huge shift within an organization and move towards those outcomes. Yes, you want to achieve as an organization, but invest in your people, invest in the well-being of your people so that they can actually provide those outcomes, because otherwise you end up with a burned out workforce and you don't get the outcomes.
This is the bonkers thing about it as well, is because they talk it's almost like they're afraid to talk about it, because by opening the floodgates of talking about emotions within the workplace will lead people to then open up about it, which becomes a problem that they then have to deal with. But that problem exists. It just exists below the layer of consciousness as far as the organization is concerned. It's like, if it exists, you should allow it to be discussed. Otherwise, you are going to get burnout. You are going to get churn. You are going to get people leaving. You are going to get people physically sick. The connection between emotional well-being and physical well-being are interlinked. They both benefit each other. And it's bonkers that you will get organizations like the one you went and did a speech for do not think that the people are actually a fundamental part of their profit.
Yeah, no, it's a crazy concept. Knowing, if you know, and many of you do, understand emotional intelligence, it becomes non-commonsensical. That's not even a word, but it's crazy to even think you wouldn't include it within the focus within an organization. So we will definitely be talking about this in depth, and I know that many of you that are already part of the EIA family are involved in this world as well. So we'll get plenty of opportunity to have conversations between us and other people out there that want to talk about these topics. I know there's many of you that are very passionate about these topics, so hopefully we can have a great conversation week on week on week on the Equipped podcast. Anything else you want to add?
No, just please make our lives easy. Help us out with next week's episode. If there's anything you want us to cover, if you got any thoughts, throw them into the comment section. Let us know about it, and then we can make sure we address it on next week's episode.
Excellent. We will see you next week on Equipped.
All the best.